Hey guys, it's Matt. I'm going to try to do a better job of telling you the main segments of the topics that I'm going to present in a video like this, even though I still will probably be a bit all over the place. I'm going to try to do a better job of this, so I'm going to do it now. First section, I'm going to float something that I don't have the answer to. I'm going to ask you to comment on it, and collectively, maybe we can get close to the answer via the good comments. It has to do with the relationship between a sky that is, for the most part, not no longer chemtrailed, but just 90 to 95% more of what we remember in the 70s and 80s. A much more natural sky, puffy clouds, blue sky. The relationship between that and what's going on now, the whole sea thing. There's a relationship. I have not been able to understand what that relationship is. But before you comment on that, that's the first section. Let me float some ideas. Let me just tell you some things that I notice that I think have to be at least involved in our equation in terms of if we want to figure this out. So that's part one. Part two, I want to talk about a new time travel movie I came across that I think is just on YouTube, very low budget but very interesting, and comment on a lot of people have been telling me to watch the series Utopia, which is I couldn't even watch more than 20 minutes of it, but I do want to comment a few things on that. It seems to be second grade presentation of truth. Talk a little bit about predictive programming issues. Then I'll probably stray around a bit, but the final part will be the most important part. It'll be something I'm going to try to remind everyone of weekly or more often than that. There is nothing more important, in my opinion, than this, and it's simply a reminder to back up far enough to remember why you were here in this world, why you were in this incarnation, and to not chase the endless rabbit holes. There's even more rabbit holes that the reality generation machine is presenting to us. If you can believe that. Well, of course we can believe it. It's what it does. It's Geico. It's what you do. If you're a reality generation machine trying to screw humanity down into a lower frequency, it's what you do. There's more coming at us. So another reminder to not take the bait. Back up. Matt, we live in a crater on the moon. Well, wait a second. Not so fast. Not that people watching this just went along with that, but it's whether you go along with it or not, or ultimately end up believing it or not, it's still something you could put 10 or 20 hours of research into. It's still the distraction that the reality wants, that the reality generation machine creates. And there's potentially another one I'm going to tell you about. Is anybody surprised? I'm not. We know what it does at this point, right? But there's nothing more. Not to The entire point of the reality is to distract a real human being. If you're watching this, you're a real human being. You're no longer, or maybe you once were the wooden Pinocchio. You've evolved into the real boy or girl. Hopefully not the real doll, the real boy or girl. And but once it doesn't mean the game is over. It will then it'll try to get you back on a farm. It will try to distract you again. It'll float this and that. And always remember, never take the bait right off the bat. If you're going to research it, do it for fun, do it on your own time, do it as a hobby. But as I research this rabbit hole or jump down another hole, this is not going to influence my understanding of what the reality does. It's designed to distract and to keep me from understanding why I'm here, the spiritual connection to something or an aspect of me that's not here. It's what it does. So that's the last part. If you've heard people, have heard that one before. If you've got it, great. But there's people at all levels here. It can't be said enough. And there's nothing more important in existence, in my opinion, than that final message. Okay, there's nothing more important. Well, that's awfully arrogant, Matt. Well, I don't think it's arrogant or not. When you go through the muck and follow all the breadcrumbs and all the buttered up, somebody put it this way, buttered up roasted breadcrumbs, but they're really pissed on. You follow all that, you go, what is all that for? It's to move me into a certain place that I'm not supposed to be in, at least not supposed to be in to accomplish my life mission. And it knows it only has to do this for a short period of your time. Uh, Up to age 30, you don't know shit about shit for the most part. For the most part, there's a few exceptions to that, some young truthers, but it's rare. And then once you get, they know now at least that Generation X will probably have this quest for truth for a long time. But the boomers now, they're too old. They don't care. They just call your ass conspiracy theorists. They don't care. It's only even a short window where the reality needs to distract you or entertain you with constant truth nuggets and things to chase. Hold on a mute on. I finally learned how to use the mute button. The mute button. So, guys, let's do the first one, and I need your good comments on this. And let me float some ideas to help you think it through. If we start with the absolute basics, most people watching this will agree with me that you just know there's no question that the beautification of the skies, returning of what a sky that looks to like we remember from 1978 or 85, or if those are old enough, an old sky of puffy clouds, not chemtrailed, blue in between the clouds, sunsets that look normal. There's no doubt in my mind, at least, there's a relationship between that and the sea thing that's going on now. And if you'll, again, just allow me to float some things before if you have an idea of what the relationship is, just give me a moment. But that's what I'm going to ask the commenters to do. What is the relationship? So we've got that. And if you're struggling with that, at people at different levels, trust me, most people watching this video are going, okay, yeah, Matt, of course there's a relationship. Move on. So I'm just anybody new. There's a relationship, and almost everybody watching would agree. Now, what is it? All right, what is it? And let me back up again and say, I'm surprised that this subject on Truth Channels isn't more prevalent or prominent. Well, Matt, you're not watching the right channels. You're not watching the geoengineering channels. True, I haven't watched geoengineering channels for a long time, and I don't, I have not. But it just seems like I do watch a lot of stuff, and I have my ear to a lot. And I've hardly heard anybody, at least in the circles where I run, mention or try to form a relationship between the sky and what's happening now. So I'm surprised by that, and somebody yelling at the video saying, "Well, why haven't you mentioned it?" I agree. I should have mentioned it earlier, but maybe I got distracted, or I wanted to be absolutely sure. Wanted to be absolutely sure, or maybe I thought I would have known or figured out the relationship by now, which I don't. So just to float some ideas to get you thinking, one answer, it seems, is very first grade or second grade. First grade or second grade would be, they can only do so many things. You get the sense they can only put the pedal to the metal down so many different ways, and it's kind of like a strategy of two generals. Well, general, if you want to invade over here, you need to move resources. You can't just, troops we just can't appear out of the air. You need to move resources. Stop doing this operation if you want to do this operation. And it does seem like that, doesn't it? It's like in their Illuminati control room, the Chernobyl Illuminati control room. Someone's saying, "Sir, if you want to put the whole world into a mask in 6 weeks and put all your efforts and energies into devolving human beings over here, move them into it. This is a big. You're taking a big bite of that shit sandwich. You can't keep running these gigs over here. Well, why not? You just can't. You can't. You got to move resources. Well, what can we do? We can stop the chemtrails. I don't want to stop the chemtrails, sir. You not understand what I'm saying. It's just like that scene in Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks. And I'll still watch that movie again at some point. I still watch Star Trek. I know Kirk doesn't get up in his tin can and fly around the universe, so I'll watch it as a fiction and enjoy it as a fiction. I'll still watch The Next Generation. It's a very, very well done movie. And I do like the scene. I know nobody gets in the tuna fish can. I mean, who are you talking to here? I always have to do that for anybody new. Like, oh, this guy made sense, but he believes in space. Sorry, I gotta stop straying. Just stick to the point. The scene in Apollo 13 where We need to do this. We need to restart the LEMS computer. We need, and the guy in the back's like, you don't have the amps for that. You don't have the power for that. We have, my calculations show 5 amps here. It's like, John, you can't even run a vacuum cleaner on 5 amps. He's like, well, we need to, I'm telling you what we have here. You tell me what you need. I'm telling what we have, 5 amps or whatever. Then, well, what are we going to do? Well, then take the energy to reheat the parachutes. Well, John, if the parachutes don't open, what's the point in all this? You're telling me what you need. I'm telling what you have, 5 amps. John, you can't even run a vacuum cleaner. So yeah, it's the same thing in potentially in the Illuminati Control Center in Chernobyl, saying, we need this much of resources, energy to go pedal the metal on this C thing. And they said, okay, we can't do all. We can do 5 gigs at once, and we'll cut back on this gig, that gig, that gig. Oh, what a coincidence! No bang events hitting the news. No, you got to give little energy back. Not that they couldn't pull it off logistically. Maybe you can't suck their energy in too many places. That blue light, special light starts flashing in the Chernobyl Illuminati Control Center. Say, all right, chemtrails, shut it down. What does that mean for us? Well, sir, we believe the skies can stay ionized just enough for us to maintain contact with our Anunnaki masters in another dimension. Okay, make it so. I don't know. But see what I'm saying? It's like they giving something up, potentially. Or is it, I don't think it almost feels like they have to give up. They have so much to work with, and they have to, not a give back, is it a karma give back? Well, we can screw them over here. These bastards over here, they keep saying how they demand the skies to return to what they had in the 70s and 80s. And if we want to pull this shit off, we want to change, we want to F with the underlying fabric of reality itself. These real people over here, these real boys and real girls that no longer Pinocchios, we got to give them something. And I don't know, give them their skies back. We have ways to communicate with our Anunnaki masters from another dimension. Do I think there are Anunnaki masters from another dimension? No. We don't know what stands behind the screen that animates these minion assholes. So, but you see what I'm saying. But the other thing that just resonates, that potentially is a relationship, but that's a first or second grade explanation. I'll give you that. Not a second grade explanation, but something I kind of sense. But I can't put my finger on, and I doubt I'll ever be intelligent enough to talk about it. And this is PhD level, but that's why it eludes me. It has something to do with time itself. Well, Matt, if they stop their chemtrailing activities and stop all their geoengineering, and they need to put their metal on the CV, the reality does regenerate quickly, and it does seem that way. The reality or the nature of what's here, of whatever you want to call this place, Gaia, whatever, it does seem to regenerate much more quickly than we thought. This is why these articles that came through the mainstream media, the truth of these articles might be about nature's ability to regenerate. Right about the end of March, early April, oh, the swans are returning. The geese, ducks, and swans are returning to the canals of Venice. And then other articles said, no, that's not true. And there was back and forth. There's reasons for that. When that hits so many different articles, it almost seemed like a truth drop that maybe the swans are returning, but there's something about the regenerative nature of this matrix in which we live. Of course, it's not what your physical sciences teacher in ninth grade would say it is. It's something completely different where we live, something we can't fathom. It's a combination of something that's real, a combination of the Matrix, a combination of Picard's holodeck. It's a combination of the movie The 13th Floor. You go to the edge, it just becomes zeros and ones. It's a combination of a lot of different things we'll never be able to truly point at and put our finger on. That's why well, Matt, once you see NASA lies, you just have to be a flat earther. That's why that is so absurd. You can say it's flat, whatever, to get people thinking in a different way, but don't just say there's less filling and tastes great, and there's not, a beer can't be anything else. There's a million things this reality can be, and a million more outside your perception, outside the senses, and what you ever could comprehend. So I get rarely people do hit me with that, but boy, it's probably 2015, 2016, 2017. People would just get their back up. How could you be so? You say NASA lies about everything, but you won't jump on board with flat Earth. Oh, because there could be a million other possibilities if you just think around two corners. You think? So it's I'm not those that are hardcore flat Earth researchers are our brethren. Of course, we're in the same foxhole. These are the people that initially exposed the NASA lies, and I applaud them for it. I'm not trying to pick a fight with them, and just saying there's more than two possibilities. So you look at regarding the time aspect. I've been looking at the sky, and it's just the chemtrails are down, at least in the Northeast. 90-95% they've been down. And if you're in a part of the country that's been chemtrailed like crazy, that does not seem to be the norm. It does not seem to be the norm. I'm just telling you. In the Northeast here, we've again, if you're getting chemtrailed to death, there's whole sections of the country that are saying what I'm saying, that the skies have improved 90-95% since this thing started. I've seen billowy clouds, blue skies between the clouds, normal sunsets. I've seen some chemtrails. Sure, it hasn't gone completely away, but it seems to be down conservatively 90%. And I know there's a relationship between what they're trying to pull over here and what we're experiencing over here. And do I have any information other than on time, other than I look up and I go, that's the sky that existed in 1978 or 1980. And if anybody's saying to this video, well, Matt, you can't pull some sort of weird time theory or time travel into it, or they've moved the reality plane of existence back in time to accomplish something, and just because your sky looks like, well, then when you stop the geoengineering, the sky will regenerate. The nature, like you said, will regenerate itself very quickly. The sky will look as it did in 1978. Again, I agree. I agree. And this time thing I'm floating, I'm not even getting it outright. It's just a sense I have that something weird with time is going on, but that also relates to the fact that we have no time in our lives anymore to get things done. Everybody's talking about the contraction of time. I have 4 cats here. They're very difficult to take care of. One pees all over the place. I have a lot to do with that. These videos take far longer than you would think. It is easier for me to do a video like this because I can talk on my feet. But the other ones, composing a song, I mean, I have no background in that. I'm just saying it takes longer, but I still have no time to do anything. What do I have to do? I don't have to go pick up kids. I just I don't know, I have this thing like this rot on the door or rot around the garage. I've got to cut out the rot, put in some new wood. I haven't been able to get to it all summer, and it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, do I really believe that time is being condensed? Yes, in some way it is. But that's another video. We'll talk about that some other time. I want to relate why the skies have cleared and it looks like the sky of 1978 related to the sea thing. And I don't have any answers on that other than the fact that I know there's a relationship, and it does seem again like you can't run. They had to pull resources from here to make the 5 amps and go over here. That's first grade, and I should do better than that, but I can't. So we looked at all the smart people in the commenters to try to bridge some gaps on that for us. So that's section 1. The last section, guys, I'm going to keep this to the last section, talking about reiterating the most important thing, that the most important realization we can come to, not just as truthers, as human beings. I'm going to leave that. And for anybody that's heard that too many times, it can't be said enough. So I'm going to keep saying it. I'll do it at the end of videos. You can turn me off. Let's talk about just some media and TV as a house, house cleaning, just not, just catching up on a laundry list of things that I wanted to talk about. One is this utopia. People have emailed me. Many people have emailed me. Matt, check out Utopia on Amazon Prime. I watched 20 minutes of Utopia on Amazon Prime, and I turned it off. If it was entertaining and I liked it and I liked the way it was presenting itself, then I would watch it because I like mindless things at night. I need to get my mind off certain things. So I'll grab a few beers, but it wasn't even good in my opinion. And I wasn't going to watch Utopia on Amazon Prime for the truth drops because I think this is going to deliver first grade truth. We're beyond this. This might have been it. The truth that might have come out of it would have been interesting to me maybe in 2014 or something like that. And I've told the people, or several people that I've told that recommended Utopia to me, if you're going to continue to watch it, please look for a potential truth that I'm not giving it a chance or I'm not going to continue to watch it, but I doubt it'll be there. For example, I mean, just as a ridiculous example, 2001 A Space Odyssey, Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. If you've seen it 50 times, it's worth watching the 51st time for something that could be there. It's got that high of a level. Now, I'm not saying Utopia would be, I'm not going to watch anything that's not on that level. Of course, Utopia is not going to be on that level, but it's not even in the ballpark. One's PhD level, one's first grade. It's got that guy from The Office who plays the clown. He's funny in The Office. And I know it's just showing you what's happening now. Fires, Action Jacksonation, flu. But whatever they do the a lot of I get the impression, of course, what's shown in movies and media, things we call predictive programming. A lot of times there is no underlying truth that we can use as higher level Jedis. They simply have to show you, or they have to give away what they're doing at all different levels, and this is first grade. And yes, there will be a very small group of people. The phone again, you've got to be kidding me. A very small group of people will watch Utopia and say, Pam, I'm literally recording a video right now. Is it urgent? Okay. That will say, it just doesn't. This doesn't make any sense. That what are the chances that there's this series on Amazon Prime and it's showing fires and this and all that's happening now? Well, when did they write this? When did they? And a lot of people will. I mean, 99 point whatever percent will never notice, but a few people might change the path. Might start looking into a few things. That's and Matt, why would they do that? Did they want to be found out and exposed? Yes. And that's how the reality itself has to do business. That's how they have to do business. In many ways, they want to be exposed and found out. They have to give. If they want to screw over here, they have to give over here. It's just the yin and yang. It has to do business that way. So again, Utopia, guys. Anybody wants to watch it through? To me, it's a waste of time. If it's not, let me know. I'll change my opinion and let everybody know to watch it. No way. There's a time travel movie, very interesting, called 41. I think it's called 41. To find, it's just on YouTube. I don't think it's on Prime. I don't think it was any movie that was ever came out of a studio like Sony or Columbia Pictures. I think it's all privately done. It's on YouTube. You look up like the number 41 full movie, or you could find it by, if you forget that, you just search like most mind-blowing time travel movie, and it will come up in the first 5 or 10 search results on YouTube. And it's like you'll know where you are. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. It's very well professionally done, but it doesn't have that feel of a big Hollywood studio. And it's definitely worth watching if you liked time travel movies like Primer, which is still probably the best time travel movie ever done, Primer. And then, if you like things like the Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher, and just you're fascinated by time travel like I am, this is well done. If you like encountering aspects of yourself at the same age or different age, where you can actually meet yourself, you'll like this movie. I'm not going to give away too much. You'll like it if you like that sort of movie or that aspect of time travel. But what the movie doesn't do well, and what they all don't do well, is explaining how the time travel takes place. This is what I tried to do in the book, my fiction book, Quantum of Conscience. And guys, I'm not pushing the book. I mean, it's an old book. Anybody buys it on Amazon, I get like $1.20 or something from Amazon. You can get a book though from Amazon. I'll never be able to take the book now and put that on Amazon. Once they find out what it is, they'll ban it or get rid of it. Plus, I'll probably be giving them all the rights to it by uploading it via the I agree button, that little box. I'll never do it. But this is fiction, just about kids at the University of Vienna who figure out how to lucid dream, sorry. And then by putting your mind in a certain state, you can actually alter your reality bubble into basically like a time travel. It evolves into a time travel. But I tried to actually explain it in a scientific or way that makes sense. Where in the movie, even though the movie 41 is very good, there's a hole inside of a bathroom in a hotel room. He climbs in the hole, he climbs out, it's a day before. Well, trust me, the rest is very interesting. But these movies never do a good job, other than Primer, explaining how the time travel could possibly take place. Ashton Kutcher in The Butterfly Effect, just by looking at his old notebook, those black and white notebooks we'd write in, anybody over age 40. You'd have these notebooks, journals, and just like and then he goes into another time, and then he messes with this, and then it changes this, so he has to go try to fix that. That type of scenario. But just by opening a journal, all of a sudden they never do a good job explaining how the time travel takes place. None of these movies, or even Star Trek 3 is The Search for Spock. 2 is, of course, is very, very good. Khan, The Search for Spock, kind of sucks. But then 4 is very. They go back to San Francisco. It's a lot of fun if you like the old, Bones and Kirk and Spock, the old Star Trek. They go back to San Francisco. Well, they need to get whales. Well, Spock just computes time travel and as well, then why weren't they doing that? They just decided to do that. Well, how come they haven't been doing that all along in Star Trek? It's just so that most movies and media with time travel, it's the ultimate suspension of disbelief. You have to just give them the ridiculous way they propose time travel. And then once it happens, you can kind of enjoy the story again. Anyway, so you might like that. And again, Primer is not. I don't think Primer's on Netflix, or it's not a. It's a low budget production too. Somebody kind of did outside of a big studio, but it's very well done. Very well done about time travel. All right, guys, let's get to the last part, the most important part, the only thing that matters in everything we've ever done in the truth community. And I'll try to keep it as quick as possible. I'm going to try to reiterate this once a week. And the reason I'm doing this is because we have another rabbit hole to chase that's appeared. What a coincidence. And I'm not gonna mention who sent me the video or anything. It's very interesting and it is worth looking at. And I'll even tell you a little about the topic. But we live in we know I don't. It doesn't matter where we agree as to what's physical, what's not. We live in a reality generation machine of some kind. We agree. Now, if you're not quite there, all the conspiracy we've looked at over how many years, 10 years, everything in the book, hundreds of pages of if the world were real, this couldn't exist. What are the chances that the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid codes the speed of light? There's hundreds of pages of that. And then you get to a point and you go, this is impossible. This couldn't happen. And it's the 3 steps. This couldn't happen in a real world. The endless gematria, the endless conspiracy, the endless cover-ups, the endless people that had to be in on it. And see, we've been through this, but it relates to the new rabbit holes that will present themselves. Right? We had Tartaria a few years ago, a reality generation machine. It doesn't matter if it can do whatever it wants. It can turn the Washington Monument. It's a representation of a dick. A reality generation machine can turn it into a real dick. It can do whatever it wants. In my opinion, stop being amazed by it. Oh, it must be real. A rock is really hard. It can do whatever it wants. It has done whatever it wants. Too many coincidences, too many impossible synchronicities. I don't need to see anymore. So, Tartaria, mud flood, all this stuff. Then we have, we live in a crater on the moon, and all the series of videos going along with that. And my video was like, don't chase that. That's what the reality does. It offers up. It's a piston breadcrumb, but it offers up buttered flavored. What did somebody say to me? Butter flavored, a butterly flavored roasted breadcrumb. Well, it's still piston. It's all, once you crack it open, it's the same thing. It's the same distraction. And we'll chase the fact that we live in a crater on the moon, and that channel supports itself with a lot of interesting concept in a lot of other ways. related back to Archons and Anunnaki created human beings, genetically engineered human beings, but it's an insectoid race and all that stuff. Guys, whether the channel is in on it or just is a good person working on our side that happened to put two and two together, what they're putting together, they're putting jigsaw pieces together from a reality that generates the jigsaw pieces. Do we understand that by now? It's like, oh, I'm a truth channel. I want to put a bunch of jigsaw pieces together, and I'm looking to put jigsaw pieces together. This is assuming they're not in on it. Many truth channels are in on it, but all of a sudden, there's like some scene in the Truman Show. Some cloud comes and starts raining on you, and a hole in the sky opens up, and a bunch of jigsaw puzzles just dumps down. Oh, look at this! We live on a crater on the moon, and the Anunnaki engineered us in this way. And look at all these. Oh, here comes Zacharias Sitchin's stuff, and all these pieces. Oh, where'd they come from? It came from the reality generation machine, basically like a Truman Show. You're going to spend your whole life putting all the pieces together for what? That's outside yourself. It's a screen exercise. What's that get you? Let's say you even put all the pieces together. Oh, this is exactly how the Anunnaki engineered the human being. What does that do for you? It's outside yourself. What does that do for you? Nothing. So that we have the new one, and I'll just explain what that is, and it's just what the reality does. This is the way now will I potentially come off that position, but yes, but for now my default is if I go to the edge of my porch with my trusty rifle, that a rabbit's going to pop up wanting to be hunted. That's my default. I'm always going to, and I'm going to say I'm not going to chase it because I don't think this is real. That's my default by now after 10 years of looking at the impossible coincidence and synchronicities. Let me save you 5 or 7 years by suggesting you should make it your default. So the new one is about the ether that surrounds that's right in front of us, a way to carry information, to store information that potentially stores the Akashic record. That's right outside of us, and this is the theory is this is how Google works, YouTube works, where they'll give the example that somebody, 100 miles north of Johannesburg in some Serengeti somewhere that has good internet access can do a Google search. And it can be on something very obscure, not something that Google's ready to go with a cache, or they have it cached and they know what people are searching for, and they know everybody's searching for stuff post-debate, so they have it ready to go. You could search for something very obscure, and it'll return search results back in less than 1 second, or 0.7, 0.6. And the idea of what this video is saying is that's impossible. Even with fiber optic cables close to the speed of light, going through different servers, going through Silicon Valley, then the servers have to crawl the entire web, hundreds of billions of pages potentially at this point. What do we have? I don't know. Billions of websites. So it crawls hundreds of billions and it has cached. Even if Matt, don't you know with web crawl it has all that cached. It takes snapshots of your web page. I know that. But it still has to analyze it for what you're searching for. Speed of light or not, this video makes a good point. It says it's going to return that in less than a half a second. It found the relevant information on website 1,400,000,000 blah 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 blah. And this is saying no, there's this ether. There's something all around us that carries information that either much greater than the speed of light, or like quantum entanglement, two things that are the same but far apart, things like that, quantum issues we don't understand. And the video will say this is how Google works. They know this technology. They're not sharing it with you. They just want you to believe it's giant server farms that host a ton of porn, that need all this electricity and all this water, and all those stories that came out about the NSA server farm, and they took like the whole water resources of this town. And the video is probably right. It's saying that they want you to believe that technology works just like plugging in Ethernet ports and server farms, but it's probably something completely different that they haven't told us about. And your inner knowing, I'm sure right now, is going, yeah, that makes sense. When some obscure search somebody in Iceland makes about a web page, some little obscure web page about art somebody did in Nairobi, Kenya, the search result comes back in less than half a second. Billions of pages crawled, indexed. It knew the exact, just search the 7, 8 words in a row in quotes, and it just returned it off an obscure web page. Yeah, that can't happen in less than a even speed of light stuff. We've seen certain delays with speed of light stuff, and it's always Google search results always come back if you have good internet access at the terminus. Always comes back in less than a second, or sometimes about a half a second. So anybody watching this is probably going, yeah, this makes sense. But even if it's right, what is the purpose of this breadcrumb? Oh my gosh, let's jump into this. And the person that sent it to me is a good friend, and I don't want to mention any names. I don't want to be, but he's like, I got to check this out. I went, why? Why? It's what it does. It's what the reality generation machine does. It's what it always will do. So what am I supposed to do, Matt? I'm supposed to say, well, this is interesting. Maybe Saturday mornings I research this stuff for fun on my own time. I'm not going to jump into it. Of course, you just continue to stay in your place. Of course, there's hundreds, if not tens of thousands of technologies the assholes haven't shared with us. Things are never something we learn that, oh, we think the internet works this way. Well, what have we learned by now? Well, it probably doesn't work this way. It probably works something completely different. Haven't we learned that lesson? So again, buttered up breadcrumb to distract. Oh, let's investigate the screen outside of ourselves. The entire one of the main points of living life and the reality itself is to not take the bait. And when we say stay inside, it's like, oh, it's trying to get me outside of myself again, trying to have me work through the lower chakras, trying to have me create more ties to this realm and this reality through assigning my energy to it and my interest. Where attention goes, energy flows. Versus the point of the reality is to win the spiritual game and connect to something of or an aspect of yourself that's not here. That's not involved in the distractions and running around chasing all the breadcrumbs. So you can do it. You just need to do it with the right mindset. I'm going to do it on my own time. I'm not going to chase it. It's really interesting. I'm not going to forget who I am. And most of us that are at this level are not going to be drawn into that. We've been doing this too long. But understand how the hundreds of thousands at Richie channel they're going to be drawn into it, and they're going to research it. And I doubt, Richie's talking about some of the high level stuff that we talk about here. I haven't really checked in with Richie recently. It's not my favorite. But, when channels go up 20,000 subs in a few weeks, I'm relatively skeptical. But when I've gone up 0.1 or whatever, 0.1 a week. But anyway, so guys, that you understand, people watching this, and you're saying, I'm not going to be drawn into that. You're rare in this. And we do have different levels of people here. You're rare, but I've talked to Mitch, a young guy who is, more advanced than 95% of the truth community at age 29 or so, way more advanced. But even he, right now, he's very interested in, the origins of the human being, the avatar, the manipulations potentially of the human being or the avatar from archons, Anunnakis, things that are not human, things that might appear in the emerald tablets of Thoth or things like that. And again, it's so high level that this must be where the real truth is. The real truth is just what the simplicity, the half page we just discussed. It's like, well, let's say you spend the rest of your life determining exactly how I get some good information, information from somebody I'll just call Tony, who I highly trust. And he said, well, yeah, camping on that, Matt, yeah, they did. That is basically correct. They did split the human being per duality, per this realm that's going to evolve into a male and female, because everything in this realm has to be duality, where once the original avatar was more of a hermaphroditic and thing like that. But he's like, but basically we agree. Tony and I agree. It's like, ultimately you can figure all that out. What does it do for you? Nothing. Nothing. You can sit down and let me spend 5 years on the collective works of Zecharia Sitchin. What does that do for me? Nothing. You're still in. The answer is still a half page, and the answer is still, I'm a spiritual being. There's an aspect of me that's not here. Okay. No, I'm not. The atheists aren't right. My existence has always been and will go on after this. The atheist opinion or version of reality is basically bordering on retarded. So what? Oh, what is the reality trying to do with this screen? All this bullshit. It gives all the each gives each group the breadcrumbs it wants, so it's constantly distracting, constantly creating ties to this place, constantly giving it energy and attention so it feeds, constantly operating through our lower chakras, which cuts us off from spiritual self, higher chakras. The whole point is it's a half page. It's that simple. Just do, oh, it's going to want to take me here, it's going to want to take me there, avoid the screen, do whatever you can to foster spiritual ties or an aspect of yourself that's not here. And if anybody that doesn't understand what that means, then just do the opposite. Cut ties with however the ties that bind. Where does that phrase like that even come from? The ties that bind. Just if you're not sure how to do that, then cut ties here, and maybe this will open up. This pull will get stronger. Well, how do I do that? Well, then we know things we've talked about this over and over, on and off for 5 years. You go to use your credit card. It's like, well, there's my name, there's my legal fiction in all caps. I haven't done this for a year. I just want to reiterate that to the reality. That's not me. I need to operate through that legal fiction to get my bread and milk. But that name in all caps, I just want to make sure it's clear. I've said it 100 times. So you just say it while you're in line. Say it to yourself. That's not me. I'm Nuwanda. I've named myself over here. Just little cut to every in the morning. Many mornings I forget now, but I used to grab my my well, it was an object I kept in the room, and I would say to myself every morning when I was really pissed off about the sea situation, and I'm still pissed off, but I've evolved into a different place with it. Used to say, if these bastards are going to take so much over here, then per the yin and yang, the ultimate rule of the dual reality, the yin and yang, it must give. And if it does, it must give to everyone, to real people. But if not, at least it's going to give to me. And at the very minimum, I'll drop more veils. I'll cut more ties that bind to this place. If it's gonna take big, huge bites of the shit sandwich over here, with the devolving human beings, with these masks and everything it's trying to accomplish, then per the yin and yang, it must give to me over here. And it's my per natural law, natural right to take it. It must give, even if it's just pure sight, or the ability to drop veils or see through things. And we want, or the assholes have bit off so much over here that we expect more than that. But at the very minimum, and we all think what you see now versus 2 or 3, 4 years ago. It's just night and day. We wouldn't even recognize the persons we were 4 years ago, and we were hardcore truthers. We still have come so far. What was that? Virginia Virginia Slims cigarettes. You've come a long way, baby. Was on the back of magazines in the 70s. I don't even know if that cigarette still exists. I've been trying to score Peter Stuyvesant. I told somebody, I watched Beverly Hills Cop the other day, and he's trying to unload a truckload of Lucky Strikes. I'm like, I hope that's a truckload of Peter Stuyvesants, but I doubt Peter Stuyvesants were a big seller in Detroit. Axel Foley's trying to unload a truckload, and that's when the famous scene, Beverly Hills Cop. We never seen anything like it. A truck just taking out cars. A truck just going through the city, and cars just being smashed left and right. It was pretty interesting for the 80s, for when that was done. There was nothing had ever been done like that. And it wasn't special effects. It was a truck smashing through cars. Anyway, not Peter Stuyvesant. So, we have a whole new level of understanding. And even if we weren't really trying to strive for this whole new level of understanding, the assholes are biting off such a big piece of the shit sandwich, it almost, to real people that haven't become, devolved into the wooden form of Pinocchio, you'd be farther along anyway, because the reality, I really believe in the yin and yang. It has to give. They can't try to get all this done over here without having to give, per the yin and yang, an equal portion of it away. And maybe only a small group of us will be able to take advantage of it. It would be a shame, because people are devolved down into levels, or to a reiteration of human being 10.0, something we don't have anything in common with, something we don't even recognize anymore. something that's completely on the frequency that takes the download, that cannot employ any common sense, that can never push back from what a governor suggests or a person uh, presenting themselves as an authority figure in all this CV stuff, whatever they suggest, there's just no ability to push back. And that's what most people are devolving down to. So no matter how bad they make life out our window, we are I wouldn't say lottery winners, but we're recipients of the yin and yang principle, that how the reality has to give back. Unfortunately, right now we're the only ones benefiting. But the never-ending breadcrumbs and rabbit holes are going to come up on YouTube almost every day. I come across something that I would like to look into, and the idea is, if you look into it, don't chase it. Remember what you're here to do, and ultimately, it's a half a page. It's a half page. It's a half of it when it presents its yin yang, when it presents itself at this level of complexity, and you can spend years researching potentially what happened to the Titanic reality generation machine, and I've done it. Okay, I've anybody trying to tell me about the insurance money, and they pulled a Silverstein for the insurance money and flipped the plates between the Olympic and the Titanic. On who you talking to here? I've been through I've been through that bayou, through that muck. I've been through all that muck. But we've all been through all that muck. But we're finally coming out of it. And then you can get into oh no, Matt, you didn't mention that they sunk it to take out the three people opposed to the Fed, Astor, Guggenheim, and Strauss. No, but that's there's truth in all of that, maybe all of it, but it's still, even if there's truth in the insurance piece, even if there's truth in the Fed piece, it's ultimately what it is. I'm not. If I've got to wait 2 seconds before I can say the other is, or that's an ISIS. When you drop an is, that's you drop in an ISIS. That's what Bill Clinton did. Do I know that or pretend? No, but I'm just saying. I'm Greg and I we tease each other. You just dropped an ISIS. Bill Clinton would say, "You have to. I'm being deposed about what happened between me and that woman, Miss Lewinsky." Well, I don't understand your question. It depends on what the definition of is. And Greg and I are like, he dropped an ISIS. So every time a lot of times we have to say that. But when Bill Clinton did it, did he drop an ISIS? Potentially. Yeah. That's how this weird ass reality works. And somebody like, oh, this guy made sense, and now I can't get these 40 some minutes of my life back. Look, guys, I guess I should keep the way out stuff to a minimum just in case there is anybody new here. But most people watching this are like, yeah, he probably dropped an ISIS. Go on, Matt. Finish what you're saying. It's like John McEnroe. You cannot be serious. An ode, a tribute to their main astrological star, Sirius. Yeah, just like the dog that was killed in the Canine Unit, Sirius. Of course, it's all by design. No normal reality could pull all that shit off. No way. So, what does it say about reality itself? Step 3. What does all this say about who I am? And what is the schemes that it runs constantly say about who I am, who you really are, the spiritual aspect of who you really are? What is a YouTube that can float a new conspiracy weekly, with this one being that YouTube and Google search runs on an informational technology that is more natural, that surrounds all of us, like the force that flows through us and binds us. So it's probably not run in these server farms, or originally was, and they've evolved it into the ether. And what does it say about the nature of reality that could pull that off? If internet really comes from somewhere else, if you chase these topics and they turn out to be true, stop chasing the topic and say, what does that say about the nature of reality itself? How could this have been hidden from? And what kind of reality would do that to me, and why would it want to do that to me? Oh, what does it say about me? That's all you need to know. If you look at the collective works of Zecharia Sitchin for 10 years, say, oh, this shit, Anunnaki, and all this stuff, and then and then you read the Nag Hammadi, and you spend decades on the Book of Enoch, then you spend decades on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and then ultimately it all comes back to the same half a page. How could well, I'll say I believe all this shit? How could they have pulled all this shit off? And what are they? Why are they doing it? Why are they getting in my business all the time? What are they? They're doing all this to harvest me somehow, like the Matrix portrayed. It's the same theme. The Matrix, a harvesting of human being. Look out your window. It's a harvesting of the human being. It's just the same. It's just a little bit different technologies, techniques, strategies, and tactics. It's the same thing. It's the same theme. What does that say about me? Oh, I must be pretty goddamn powerful. Sorry for the slang right there. But I must be pretty powerful. They're running around trying to get in my business all day long. Can't take a step outside without an element of this matrix trying to get in my business. So yeah, Matt, we've heard that before. Oh really? What could be more important? The truth community. Yeah. Collectively, if you add up every individual person, hundreds of millions of hours of researching piston breadcrumb topics. Hundreds of millions of hours. And the idea, the reality, once it'll keep giving them more hundreds of millions of hours, things to look into, things they'll run through Richie, hundreds of millions of hours, or you can just check out and say the entire reality boils down to a half page, and the reason I'm here, or the reason I chose to come into existence, or whether you agree or disagree certain things, or even if you bring your religious aspects into it. Bring your religious aspects into it. Is it going to be any different than you're here to foster your spiritual self, not chase, not get distracted, not create more ties to this reality? It still all boils down to not a half page, a few sentences. I'll put the few sentences out at some point. And then, well, Matt, does that mean we just check out from channels like you? Yeah, check out. We're all addicted to the screen for the most part. We're all fascinated when we find an old movie that has a bunch of truth drops. I hope people stay with me. I do this full time now, but people have been very, very kind in allowing me to pay my bills, and I'll continue to do this. This is what I do. But you're ready to check out? Check out. You probably be better off if you remember certain things and you leave the entire chase behind. I'm not here to. I'm not here to. I'm here to present the truth as I see it. Thanks, guys.